if you don't know how to raise the vehicle, support the vehicle, and remove the wheel in a safe manner, don't go any further. Or don't try this. You'll start to notice that brakes, depending on or between different manufacturers, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, even the domestics, stuff is all fairly similar. You've got a caliper, you've got retaining bolts or slider bolts, you've got a retaining bracket, you've got a disc, brake pads. So no matter what vehicle, the principle is usually the same. Seven millimeter. Use power tools where you can. See the brake pad wear sensor, we're going to replace that. Squeeze and pull. If the caliper won't come off, compress the piston a little bit. You see here the wear indicator is worn down. If it's still in good condition, you can reuse it. It just pulls off and you push it on to the new brake pad. Pretty much on metal here. 16. Before you push the caliper piston back in, make sure that the reservoir has been or fluid has been removed, otherwise it'll overflow, or there's a possibility of it overflowing if the reservoir has been topped up in the meantime. You can see here the level is down low enough. Before you compress the piston, have a look at the piston under the boot to see if the piston is rusty. If it's rusty, that can cause the piston to hang up. This one looks clean. Should compress easily. If the boot seems to bubble, you have to lift it up to let the air out. Inspect the hose for cracks or for bubbling. Replace it if it is cracked or bubbling. Use a caliper mounting hanger to hang the caliper out of the way. 6 millimeter. You can reuse the disc if you want to, if it's nice and smooth. Rough up the surface to help the brake pads wear in quicker. Assemble and reversal removal. It's as simple as that. Bleed flush the brake fluid every 2 years. Make sure to pump the pedal before you drive the vehicle so that you have a firm pedal, because the first application will be low, and you could run into a situation where you drive the vehicle reverse or forward, step on the brakes, and the vehicle doesn't stop. So pump up the brake pedal before you start the vehicle. Clean the mounting bracket for the brake pads so that the pads can move easily, freely. Use whatever file works best for you. You can also just use sandpaper. Don't take too much material away, otherwise the pads will start slapping. You just want to make sure that it's a smooth area. Smooth contact surface. If the surface is worn too much, replace the caliper bracket. I can't remember now if I showed you cleaning the hub. I probably did. Apply some NDCs. It's not really necessary. It may or may not help removal in the future. And then what I like to do is I just work the disc back and forth on the hub, and that spreads out the anti-seize. The bracket's been cleaned. Use whatever lubricating compound you prefer. This is copper anti-seize. Use as much as you want. If you think I'm using too much, that's fine. I haven't had any issues with any of what I do. Push the new sensor into place. You can see which side has the rubbing block, which side doesn't. Just clicks into place. Lubricate the mating surface where the caliper makes contact. That can help prevent squealing. Same on the outer pad. Make sure the piston surface is clean. Same on the outside. Lubricate the bores for the sliders, the rubber grommets. In some cases, you need to remove the rubber grommet and clean the inside bore, because the inside bore is rusty. When rust builds up, the bore gets smaller. which applies pressure on the slider pin, and then the caliper won't slide correctly. Clean the slider pins. I didn't show that. I just took it to the wire wheel and I buffed them clean. You can see they move nice and free. That's what you want to see. If you have to apply any type of pressure that's more than, you know, just regular sliding action is required, then take those rubber grommets out and clean the bore. Insert the wear sensor. Forgot a little bit of lube. Press the pad into place. Let's get rid of excessive anti-seize. I know I'll get thumbs down for that. Oh my god. Let's position the caliper. I need to push it back in a bit. It came out when I pushed the caliper in on the other side. I only had to move a couple of millimeters. Position the caliper. Make sure the slider pins go in nice and straight. If it goes in crooked, you're going to cross thread the threads, and the caliper will not apply even pressure on the pads. Install the dust caps. At this point, you should be able to move the caliper nice and freely. Install the tensioning clip. I already checked the brake fluid, moisture content, it's less than 1%. It's nice and clean as well, so we're not going to flush the brakes this time around. Flush it every 2 years, as mentioned earlier, or as need be. If you take the car autocrossing, or do a lot of heavy braking, the fluid may need to be changed at an earlier date or time. That's it. Pump the brake pedal, take it for a test drive. If your rotors are coated like this one, the brakes will sound like they're grinding when you first apply the brakes. That'll wear off. This protective coating wears off, and then the brakes will be quiet. Thanks for watching. Okay, this is after the test drive. You can see the coating is nicely worn off right here. Should have turned the flash on, but anyways, nice and even distribution of brake pad surface.